As a reporter, I have a confession to make. I should have pushed harder earlier for more information about Joe Biden's mental and physical well-being and any signs of decline. So let me explain. Joe Biden was president from 2020 to 2024. I worked at CNN through 2022. During that time, the early part when I was at CNN, 2020 to 2022, Republicans would regularly ping me and say, why don't you ask more questions of Joe Biden and how he's doing? He's 76, 77, 78-year-old man. And I would sort of brush them off because what I would say is, well, there's no obvious evidence that he's declining. Yeah, he moves a little slower, he talks a little slower, but there's no evidence that he's declining. And the White House and the people around Joe Biden were absolutely adamant that suggesting anything, asking the question about whether he was in some physical, mental, or both decline was offensive. How could you? It's age shaming. And I think that impacted me at some level because while I did ask the question from time to time of, not directly the White House, but aides and people around in that orbit, I didn't really push on it, if I'm being honest.
But no one is saying they have to shut down the White House because he's not with it today. This man is awake 23 hours a day. He's clearly engaged. And the American people just elected him over somebody who was much younger. I will point out to you. My question is this. That we elect people for a reason. The elected leadership of the government is supposed to be making decisions. For 4 years, the unelected have been in charge of our country during critical moments. Mm-hmm. We don't live in a country where the unelected are supposed to rule us. We live where the elected are supposed to rule. My problem is for 4 years, we were lied to about who's actually running the country. This is a problem.
Yes, throughout Biden's 3 years in office, I saw a lot of people speculating, putting out videos about this. Now, the Wall Street Journal came out with a bombshell report about Biden. I don't know if you've seen this. The Wall Street Journal has now confirmed Biden was in a diminished mental state for his entire presidency. He was incapable of doing the job, so who was running the country and making critical decisions? Americans have the right to know. You can clearly see how these people are. They hide this throughout, knowing the truth. At the end of the day, you will realize a lot of things went wrong. On this clip, we are going to take an exclusive look into what is going on exactly. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please endeavor to do that. It will do you no harm if you share the video out.
Clips went viral on social media and were picked up by some news outlets. Take a look at this clip, for example. It shows Biden and other world leaders watching a skydiving demonstration before the president is seen walking away and looking in another direction. Outlets claimed that he was sort of just aimlessly wandering away. The clip amassed millions of views within just a few hours, when actually if you widen out, you can see that he was talking to one of the members of the military that was participating in that demonstration.
There's a growing and insidious trend in right-wing media, broadcast, print, and social media. It is to take highly misleading and selectively edited videos of President Biden directly from Republican National Committee social media accounts and then use those videos to spread messages virally to cast doubt on President Biden's fitness for office. Here is this headline from the New York Post, quote, Biden appears to freeze up, has to be led off stage by Obama at Megabucks LA fundraiser. The full video posted by Biden finance chair on Twitter shows something entirely different. Biden reacting to applause and then walking off stage with former President Obama.
These types of videos saying that they are done in bad faith, and that is how the White House is responding to these types of videos this evening.
All right, Arlette, thank you very much. David Urban and Jamal Simmons are now out front. I mean, the one at the G7 very clearly shows when you extend it that he was interacting with a parachutist on the ground, extremely different than the way the clip had been cut before. But David Urban, the White House and President Obama are pushing back. Obama saying no, that President Biden did not freeze, that they're friends, that this is not It did not happen the way that it is being portrayed. So what do you think? Is it time for people to stop selectively clipping videos and putting them out?
Exactly what the media was doing throughout, protecting him like this. They see the truth, they don't call out, they will tell the story. If you now post it, they tell you selectively edited this video out, or some women say it is this generated. I saw that over and over, and at a certain point, I took a decision not to even report videos coming from this man. If you've been watching this channel, you will not see a single video again I report because of the way the mainstream media was portraying everything you post about him. Now, the truth is coming out at this time. It is useless for us to know when he's going out. So the Wall Street Journal knew this. They could not put that story out a few months ago. You should know how they operate. It triggered me a lot.
Show Biden having all of these sort of walls up.
Yeah.
And the walls kept getting higher and higher as the years went on.
This is the biggest scandal in America. And the level and volume of people who dedicated themselves to lying to everyone at home about this man's condition for 4 straight years up through this summer is breathtaking. It's a scandal of epic proportions, and it's a fair question to ask, who is running the country? Who has been running the country? And as I said earlier, if you're worried about Donald Trump's advisors having influence, for the last 4 years, apparently this president, duly elected, but this president was not capable of fulfilling the duties of the office. And his staff and the White House lied about it and kept it from the American people. It's an absolute scandal.
As a Democrat, he had a very successful 4 years.
Wow.
But there's a bigger problem here. And that is that I think Democrats are at the point where Republicans might have been right after the Bush election or after the Bush term was up, which is that I think Democrats are starting to mistrust their institutions. And this goes back to a bipartisan effort to lie us into the Iraq War, not just by George Bush, but also by a lot of Democrats. It has to do with the fact that Barack Obama did not hold anybody accountable after the 2008 crisis, which also happened in George Bush's watch. But he became president. He never threw a hostage on the tarmac from Wall Street. You saw the rise of Bernie Sanders as a result of that. And you saw a lot of institutional Democrats, me included, saying, no, 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 this is not the time. We have to stick with the institution. And I think you have a lot of Democrats now, me included, who are pretty sick of the institution and trusting people in the institution. And this is just one example, most recent example, I think, of people institutionally lying to the American people. And what you're ultimately going to see, and I don't have a problem saying this as a Democrat, is that you're going to see a Tea Party version rise up in the Democratic Party based on the fact that this is yet another marker of people just not trusting our leaders anymore. And I'm sorry to say that, but I think we brought this on ourselves.
Yeah, I remember so distinctly when the Wall Street Journal's first story came out and the uproar about it among Democrats and the anger that they were making things up. In this story, they have multiple sitting members of Congress on the record talking about how they hardly ever heard from the president. They're chairman of their respective committee.
You take a look at this tweet from Charlie Kirk. A new Wall Street Journal story reveals that Biden was so fiber at a recent G7 summit that he needed help reading talking points and missed a dinner of world leaders. The hidden more important question, why wasn't this a story already? How many journalists joined in a conspiracy of silence? A lot of these people hide this story. They didn't want people to know what was going on. You saw what happened at the EU. I think I did a video about that where world leaders were moving to a certain direction. He was going to his direction until they had to remove him. He is finished. Now, during the campaign, Democrats came struggling to compare him with Trump, struggling to change everything. A lot of people did not fall into that. Now say, oh, Trump is finished, Trump is finished. If you look at Trump, comparing to Biden, you realize Trump is stronger. He is, in fact, he is waxing. There is nothing you can complain about Trump. So they don't even need to hide anything about him.
Donald Trump isn't one to let bygones be bygones.
The thing that disturbs me is not just that.
If you're seeing some videos behind my clips, please, I'm begging on you, That is just for the algorithm. You can stop here. You must not watch to the end. I usually like to pass this information so you should understand why I'm doing so. It is for the algorithm. Sometimes they don't want to recommend videos, so we know they are sick.
Just, went like, how dare you? Do you even know what an audit is? And I'm like,
Women and so many men are
theory that a lot of people seem to be coalescing around.
They were too woke, insisting that people use the term Latinx.
You have to say they. No, you have to do this.
Stop with the virtue signaling.
Step away from woke. Focus less on who is woke and more on who is broke.
attorney or something.
I'd never seen that.
I saw so many liberals getting super excited every time Kamala had a new celebrity endorsement. But we all know for a fact that these celebrity endorsements are not free.
Oh, is it true that they paid you $1 million for the endorsement for Kamala?
Not true.
Now it's time to unite everybody.
So, with that, I'm going to shake it off.
Figure out a way to say thank you.
That guy's name, he's such an absolute prick. I can't stand him. But anyway,
Hey there. Not doing great.
Terrible night last night. It was a terrible night.
What will the rest of us be doing on day one?
Bishop Vigano, he says that
The election.
If I look at the big picture, it doesn't look good. So I'm going to work on this. No matter what's going on out there in the world, of course, the worst things could happen.
One I've known, which is every president, who's been really red.
ICE officers across the country. The news is right. Maybe they're civilian drill. Maybe they're all legal. I just find it hard to believe.